November 5th, 1274. 80 Japanese warriors stood on a beach watching 900 ships approach. By sunset, they would all be dead. But their sacrifice would change everything. This is the story of the most lopsided battle in history, where certain defeat became strategic victory, and how 80 doomed men saved an entire civilization. What you're about to hear will challenge everything you thought you knew about warfare. The Mongol Empire had never lost. In 50 years, they had conquered 24% of Earth's landmass, 65 million dead across Eurasia. They had perfected annihilation. Cities that resisted were erased. Entire civilizations vanished beneath Mongol hooves. They wielded Chinese gunpowder, Korean shipbuilding, and Persian siege tactics, the most advanced military machine on Earth. Then Kublai Khan sent his ultimatum to Japan: submit or be destroyed. Japan's response shocked the world. They sent the envoys away without reply. When more came, Japan's young regent, Hojo Tokimune, had them beheaded. The message was clear: Japan would never kneel. But here's the problem. Japan had no standing army, no unified command, just scattered clans who spent more time fighting each other than preparing for invasion. Their samurai still fought by ancient codes of individual honor, perfect for ceremonial duels, useless against Mongol mass tactics. And standing between the Mongol Empire and mainland Japan was a single island, Tsushima. Tsushima's defender was So Sukekuni, lord of the island. He commanded exactly 80 mounted samurai. Against him, 900 ships carrying 20,000 Mongol warriors. Let that sink in. 80 against 20,000, a ratio of 250 to 1. The technology gap was staggering. Mongol composite bows could kill at 350 meters, triple the range of Japanese weapons. They had thunder crash bombs, early grenades that exploded with devastating noise and shrapnel. They had poisoned arrows, catapults, and tactics refined through conquering empires far more advanced than Japan. The samurai? Katanas and traditional bows, elaborate armor designed for individual combat, smaller horses bred from mountains, not steppe charges. Sukekuni had never fought a battle larger than a clan skirmish. The Mongols had more generals than Tsushima had samurai. But hidden in the historical records is something remarkable. Sukekuni understood that some battles are fought not to win, but to send a message. If you're finding this story as incredible as I did researching it, hit that like button. Trust me, you won't believe where this goes next. In the days before the invasion, Sukekuni gathered his 80 samurai for ritual purification. They wrote death poems. They said goodbye to their families. They prepared their souls. They weren't preparing for battle. They were preparing for sacrifice. Archaeological evidence reveals something chilling. Each samurai sewed white funeral shrouds to their armor before the battle. This wasn't desperation, it was premeditation. But here's what makes this extraordinary. While preparing to die, they were also gathering intelligence. Sukekuni ordered specific evacuation patterns for civilians, ensuring refugees would be visible to Mongol scouts. He ordered villages burned, creating smoke that would obscure sightlines and prevent cavalry charges. He was turning weakness into psychological warfare. November 5th, 1274. Dawn broke. The sea turned black with ships. Mongol war drums synchronized across the fleet, creating a heartbeat of doom. 20,000 voices sang battle songs promising annihilation. The invasion had begun. At 7:30 a.m., Mongol landing craft hit Komata Beach. What happened next defied all military logic. Following ancient tradition, the samurai sent their youngest warrior forward, 16-year-old Taira no Kagetaka, to challenge the enemy to single combat. He announced his lineage, his achievements, his challenge to any Mongol brave enough to face him. The Mongol response shattered Japanese honor codes forever. No champion emerged. Instead, the sky darkened with arrows. 1,000 shafts struck the boy down before his challenge was complete. He died before finishing his words. But this wasn't stupidity. It was calculated psychology. Every samurai who died following the warrior code sent a message to the Mongols: we will not adapt. We will die as we have lived. And that terrified the invaders more than any tactical innovation could. For 3 hours, individual samurai charged forward, announced themselves, and died under arrow fire. Each death took precious minutes. Each ceremony forced Mongol troops to watch warriors choose death over tactical sense. The psychological impact was immediate. Mongol conscripts, many forced into service, began whispering about Japanese demons who loved death more than life. By 10:15 a.m., 23 samurai were dead. Mongol casualties, fewer than 50. Then Sukekuni gave an order that shocked even his own men. All remaining 57 samurai would attack together, not in formations that might achieve surprise, not using terrain to their advantage. A frontal charge across open beach into the most efficient killing machine on Earth. At 10:27 a.m., Sukekuni raised his war fan. 57 horses exploded forward, their riders screaming death poems and family names. The Mongol response was devastating. 3 volleys of arrows darkened the sky. Samurai fell, horses screamed and tumbled. But then, something impossible happened. 31 samurai penetrated the arrow storm. They hit the Mongol front line at full gallop, and suddenly individual combat skills mattered. Katanas carved through Korean spearmen. Naginata polearms shattered shield walls. 31 warriors among 20,000 carved a bloody wedge 50 meters deep into enemy lines. How? The Mongols had packed their formations for arrow volleys. Now they couldn't maneuver without hitting their own men. Taira no Kagetaka's older brother killed 7 Mongols before falling. As he died, he performed ritual self-disembowelment rather than be captured. The act paralyzed nearby enemies who had never seen such a death. Mongol commanders ordered tactical withdrawal, but the samurai dismounted and charged deeper into enemy lines on foot. It was suicide, calculated suicide. Thunder crash bombs detonated among the samurai. Poisoned arrows found every gap in armor. The technology finally won. But even dying, the samurai performed death rituals. Some wrote final poems in their own blood. They died facing the enemy, never showing their backs. Some held positions on their knees after death, propped up by armor and willpower. Modern military analysts discovered the genius. Every ritualistic death took time. Every ceremony slowed the Mongol advance. By 11 a.m., the invasion was 3 hours behind schedule. Only 12 samurai remained standing. Sukekuni identified the Korean general's banner and charged directly at the command group. It was impossible, but impossibility had been the theme of the day. Sukekuni cut down 3 guards before a sword found his thigh. Dismounted and bleeding, he continued on foot. He made it 30 meters, far enough for the Korean general to see his eyes and understand the message. Every island will be like this. Every Japanese will die like this. At 11:19 a.m., Sukekuni fell to his knees, 17 wounds making standing impossible. His death poem, found later on his armor, read, "Morning frost melts, to reveal steel beneath." The last samurai fell at 11:24 a.m. 80 samurai lay dead, 100% casualties, but Mongol casualties exceeded 300 dead and 200 wounded. A 250-to-1 advantage had yielded only a 4-to-1 casualty ratio. The wounded Mongols told disturbing stories: warriors who fought with mortal wounds, men who smiled while dying, samurai who seemed to welcome death. Then the Mongols discovered something that changed everything. The samurai bodies hadn't fallen randomly. They had died in formation, pointing inland, even in death, leading the enemy forward. The message was unmistakable: "Come, follow us into death. We have 10,000 more warriors who will die exactly like this." The Mongol advance, scheduled to penetrate 10 miles inland by nightfall, stopped at the beach. But here's the real genius. Found on the samurai bodies were detailed intelligence reports about Mongol tactics, weapons, and weaknesses. Sukekuni had turned his men into a reconnaissance force. Within 24 hours, these observations spread to every Japanese commander. They learned to target officers, exploit weapon delays, and attack supply lines. The psychological impact exceeded the tactical. The story spread like wildfire across Japan. If 80 men could face 20,000, what could 10,000 samurai accomplish? The fractured clans united for the first time in generations. The Mongols spent 3 days on Tsushima, far behind schedule. When they finally landed at Hakata Bay, they faced organized resistance implementing Tsushima's lessons. The fierce fighting prolonged the campaign until seasonal storms approached. When the divine wind destroyed the Mongol fleet, Japanese saw it as the 80 samurai spirits defending their homeland. The Mongol Empire, which had conquered from Poland to Korea, never successfully invaded Japan. The seeds of that failure were planted on a beach where 80 men chose meaningful death over meaningless survival. 80 lives bought 18 hours of delay. Those hours became 3 days of hesitation. Those days allowed Japanese mobilization. That mobilization led to prolonged resistance. That resistance extended fighting into storm season. The storms destroyed the invasion. This is asymmetric warfare at its finest. When you can't win militarily, you win psychologically. Sukekuni couldn't save his men, but he saved his nation. If this story moved you the way it moved me, subscribe to this channel. We uncover forgotten battles that changed history, stories of impossible courage and tactical genius hidden in the footnotes of time. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss another incredible story like this one. 80 men chose death and saved a civilization, the most successful military failure in history.